Missing Stars is a visual novel about mental disorders and the effect these disorders have on people. It began development in around 2012 by Somnova Studios, and from what I can tell from the developer blog, it was originally given the name Mentaru Shoujo, or Mental Girls, in lieu of the game that inspired it, Katawa Shoujo, though this wasn't intended to be a permanent name. They wanted to write something that people would enjoy, even if it wasn't exactly the most conventional. It's like these videos. I don't know if anyone watches them, and at this point, it's not a big deal to me anymore. In the days following the release of my first video, I found that I would be checking the analytics constantly, and while I want them to be liked, I don't exactly see them changing the landscape of video essays. I suppose I just wanted to put myself out there, even if it was about something that wasn't popular. I hoped, and I still hope, that people think about something after watching my videos, whatever it is. If it made you feel more grateful towards your friends and family, empathetic for the struggles of others, or more perceptive to the meaning behind certain stories, characters, and themes, then I would consider my videos successful. Missing Stars has had an interesting journey to get to the year 2020. I don't think people really understand how much work goes into things until they work on it themselves. For example, my Burden of the Extraordinary video took probably around 40 to 50 hours in recording, retakes, writing and editing my script, choosing the background music I wanted, and then finally syncing it all together. I've talked at length about the prologue of Katawa Shoujo, and how much it meant to me. And unlike Katawa Shoujo, I went completely blind into Missing Stars. Act 1 was officially released on December 29th, 2019. So how did I find out about Missing Stars? A few days ago, I was reading a pseudo-route for Katawa Shoujo called Learning to Fly. It's very well written, and I honestly wish it was part of the main novel. You can find the link to that story in the description below. After I finished reading, I was looking for something else to read, and I stumbled across Missing Stars. I was really intrigued. Truth be told, I didn't really have any expectations for Missing Stars. I was curious as to what the story would entail, and how it would get me to think about things in my own life. How it would mentally enrich me and push me to be better. I'm glad to say that Missing Stars did not disappoint. The visual novel is very clean looking. The interface is nice, and easily navigable with similar controls to Katawa Shoujo. Left click to continue the scene, right click to bring up the menu. And that's what a good user interface should do. It should be almost unnoticeable. It's kind of like when there's a presentation with PowerPoint. No one really notices it unless there's a technical difficulty. So they should be commended on having a good UI. There are far too many things on the internet that have bad UI, like certain websites, for example. The art took some getting used to. I was expecting an anime or manga art style, but it was honestly refreshing to see the characters drawn more realistically. Similar to Katawa Shoujo, the backgrounds could easily pass for real-life pictures. I do wish that there could have been more special path-related art pieces towards the end of Act 1, but I also understand that they might have not had the time or the assets to do so. The music itself is very nostalgic. I especially like the main menu theme, named Recollections. It gives me this sense that I'm in a dream, or reliving a memory from long ago. And the music has an interesting variety of tracks, and each is well suited to its scene or character. It really enhances the visual novel experience, and there are over 40 tracks for Act 1. Very impressive, considering Katawa Shoujo had around 46 tracks for the entire novel. There was a particular track in Missing Stars that I wasn't a fan of, but we'll get to that in a bit. However, a visual novel is nothing without good writing and the story itself. So how is it? I spent around 25 hours reading through all of the possible routes, meaning I tried to see the result of every single choice and their consequences, however far-reaching they might have been. And I will say that Missing Stars does make it feel like the choices have meaning, though there is one at the beginning that seems like a trap because it doesn't have any meaning, at least as far as I can tell. Unlike Katawa Shoujo, where the choices come occasionally and not as often as would be expected in a visual novel, Missing Stars is full of choices. What will Eric prioritize in his new school? Who will he talk to? Will he try to join a club? Katawa Shoujo introduces its story and routine before proceeding to turn Hiseyo's life upside down, whilst Missing Stars shows Eric's pain long after his sense of normalcy has already been destroyed. And everyone has repressed memories of some kind, of things that are best left forgotten. I know I do. And Missing Stars throws us right into the main character's pain, whilst also keeping it somewhat vague. Throughout my time playing Missing Stars, I found myself wholly interested in how Eric was going to deal with his struggles. Like Katawa Shoujo, it speaks to the talent of the writers. The choices that are given present Eric with people who will change and influence him for the better. And I think Missing Stars hits this particular concept on the head, much like Katawa Shoujo did. That we as humans often become more like the people we are around, whether that's in our mindsets, interests, actions, or words. All people have problems. It just so happens that in Katawa Shoujo, their problems are plain to see. For most of the Missing Stars characters, they are largely psychological, and the story drew me in by making me want to learn more about every single character. Why do they do the things that they do? What kind of lives did they live before coming to the school? There are 6 paths so far. Jean, Isolde, Annalise, Katja, Natalia, and Lena. And they are all distinct and varied, though I would have to say my favorites were Isolde and Annalise, probably because I myself am as introverted and as awkward as they both are. I played the paths in a different order than I would have, primarily because I had set my sights on Natalia's sister, Sophia. So imagine my great disappointment when I realized that Sophia didn't have a path. It was quite the bummer. I would love to see a path map for Missing Stars when it is officially done. I imagine it'll be much like a spiderweb. The writing is very good. I found that there were rarely moments that I glossed over, and there were a lot of pieces of dialogue and writing that I really appreciated, because they were things that I've had to learn in my own life. For example, it's difficult to make friends, you know, but keeping them is more difficult. The character later compares friendship to a flower. A flower can eventually become something beautiful, but at first starts as a seed. In order to reach its potential, it must be watered, given proper sunlight, trimmed, and protected from harm. And you have to do it every day. Or else, why would you have planted the flower in the first place? Every relationship or friendship starts off as a seed. It just depends on how you nurture it to give it the best chance of blooming. And not all seeds become flowers, but the ones that do are really beautiful. And Missing Stars does a wonderful job of portraying this theme. In terms of minor problems, there are a few grammatical errors and misspelled words here and there, and I think one of the paths is too heavy for Act 1. Lena's path is a bit out of place, and I don't think it fits quite as well as an option for Eric, but that also might be because I thought more about myself and what I would do, rather than what Eric would do. It also was a bit of a bummer that there was no option to replay certain scenes that I wanted to look at, like Katawa Shoujo's library. I had to use the skip function to get to certain scenes. It is still early in the process, though. I was also a little disappointed that some characters like Irene and Sophia didn't have pursuable routes, but I also understand that they had writing and asset restraints. Do these things take away from the experience and the accomplishment that this visual novel is? Absolutely not. I suppose that's the beauty of Missing Stars. Depending on how Eric responds and nurtures the relationships around him, his whole world has a chance to change. And up to this point in production, I would say that Missing Stars accomplishes its goal of telling a story that is honest, heartfelt, and most importantly, human. And I can give it no bigger praise than that. I can't wait to see what Somnova Studios has in store for Act 2. I made this video because I think Missing Stars is worth talking about, as a spiritual successor to Katawa Shoujo, and on its own merits. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel and give this video a like or a favorite. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time.